Hello YouTubers and welcome to another Doctor Who DVD review. This time I shall be taking a look at the Time Flight and Arc of Infinity box set, which is also known by a few Doctor Who fans as the Tegan Tales box set. So this is quite interesting, isn't it? Another thing that's quite interesting is the box set for this is red. Usually you get a black or a purple or a blue type of box set, but this they decided to go for red, which is interesting. It's certainly a very interesting design choice, and it stands out on the shelf along with all the other DVD box sets that have ever come out. So yeah, it's quite welcome that they actually did this. We have the roundels in the background like we have done with a lot of the earlier box sets that have come out in this range. We have the usual Doctor Who logo at the top and the title of the box set. This is a 2-disc set, 1 disc for each story in this, those stories being Time Flight and Arc of Infinity. The set itself is a PG, and at the centre we have Tegan and the Fifth Doctor, and in the background we have some sort of what only can be described as a starburst? I don't know. If we take a look at the spine, that is what it looks like. So yeah, stands out quite a bit. The back, it's nothing much else to say. It's exactly the same, so it's not a different image like you get on the beginning box set or the Beneath the Surface box set. There at the top it just says Doctor Who, Time Flight, Arc of Infinity, and at the bottom you just get your blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's all that. This set came out in 2007, so it's actually 10 years since this came out, which is quite astounding when you think about it. So, first story in this is Time Flight, so, and as always I'm going to talk about the cover art. Now I've got quite a few things to say about the cover art. First of all, we're going to take a look at Nyssa here. And Nyssa, well, I think on this cover it makes it look like she's sort of dead, because that's what she looks like to me. She looks like she's got rigor mortis. And the Fifth Doctor and Tegan, they look like they've had some of that special chewing gum from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, that chewing gum that ended up turning Violet Beauregarde into Violet? Well, I think that's what's happened to these two on this cover. So yeah, as you may tell, I think that the photoshopping for this particular cover is dreadful. We also have this guy here, Khalid, who's this villain for this particular story. Yeah, and I don't know what the hell's that is in the background. It looks like some sort of screensaver for Windows 95 or whatever. And we have a Concorde there in the orb thing, what you see in the story. Another thing which I think is quite interesting for this particular DVD release is the fact that at the bottom it says the Peter Davison years 1981 to 84. Now, who am I to contest with this? Technically, yes, Peter Davison did become the Fifth Doctor in 1981, because at the end of Logopolis, the Fourth Doctor regenerates into the Fifth Doctor, and that story was transmitted in 1981. So what's my beef with this? Well, on many of the other DVDs which are part of the Peter Davison years, it often says 1982 to 1984. Unlike this release, along with the Arc of Infinity cover. Now, why this is, I have absolutely no idea. If I just show you for one quick second a comparison with another story that I've got from the shelf. So, let's take the Caves of Androzani, for example. So, there you go. It says there, 1982 to 84. Now, this particular DVD is special edition, which came out in the Revisitations 1 box set. Now, that came out a few years after this was released, and this was released in 2007, so by then there was a few classic stories released, and there certainly was a few Peter Davison stories that had been released by this time, and those stories also had 1982 to 84. So I do wonder why they did it for this particular release. Did they think, oh, let's change the dates, and then they just ended up changing them back in the next Peter Davison release? I don't know. I don't know if they ever did this again with another release. Off the top of my head, to my knowledge, this is the only time that they've ever done this for this box set. It just says 1981 to 84. I'm not going to say that it is an error, because some people do say that actually, yeah, he did technically start in 1981. Although sometimes I'm inclined to say 82, simply because that is his proper introductory season. Castrovalva was transmitted in 1982, not in 81. But anyway, that's all that. I'm not going to go into technicalities. That's what the spine looks like. You got the Black to Entertain logo with the red strip at the bottom as well. And this story was written by Peter Grimwade. And the synopsis for this reads: the TARDIS arrives by accident in the middle of Terminal 1 at Heathrow Airport. One of the supersonic Concords has disappeared mid-air, and the Doctor, Tegan and... Sorry, I'm just shouting that because, yeah, this is in bold. So Tegan and is in bold. And I don't know why it says and in bold. Tegan I can kind of understand, seeing as Tegan is the theme of this box set, but quite bizarre that they highlighted and as well, so I guess that's an error. So yeah, Tegan and Nyssa soon become involved in a hunt for the missing airplane. But what connects its disappearance to prehistoric Earth, and why is a mysterious sorcerer so interested in the Doctor's TARDIS? A flight through time will reveal all. I'm sure it will. Special features include commentary by actors Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, and script editor Eric Saywood. Mouth on Legs, actress Janet Fielding talks about playing Tegan Jovanka. Very good special feature. Deleted scenes, Jurassic Larks, behind the scenes action from the studio recording sessions. Outtakes, fluffs and technical gaffes from the story's production. We have an interview, which is a short interview with the story's writer, the late Peter Grimwade. We have the Doctor Who Annual 1983, which is a PDF DVD-ROM, so you need your DVD-ROM for that. And we have Radio Times listings, production subtitles. I sound pretty repetitive there, although it doesn't help that it does say it twice, so yeah, all I'm doing is reading this. We have a photo gallery, a coming soon trailer, Yeah, they've definitely messed up on this, because why does it say all this stuff twice? It just baffles me. And we have a digitally remastered picture and sound quality. The original transmission dates for this was between 22nd and 30th of March 1982, and this was produced by John Nathan Turner, directed by Ron Jones, and the incidental music was by Roger Lamb. And the cover for this was not by Lee Binding or Clayton Hickman, it was someone different this time, and it was Dan Budden. And the runtime for this is 98 minutes approx. It's 4 parts long. Of course, by this point, Doctor Who was being transmitted weekly twice, so twice a week there. This is the leaflet. There's more stuff inside that, and that is your disc. So, aside from a few nitpicks about the presentation for this DVD, what do I think of the story overall? Well, to be honest, it's not much better. I think that this story isn't good. It's not a good story, I'll be completely honest with you. I wish I could tell you that it was, but I'd be lying if I said that, and I'm no liar at all. I'm true to my word. This is a very bad story, and a lot of Doctor Who fans would say the same thing about it too. A terrible way to end what is otherwise a pretty decent season. A great first season for Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor. I really wish that they actually ended it with Earthshock, because that had it all. Spoiler alert, we had the return of the Cybermen and we had the death of Adric. I thought it would have been a perfect way to end the season, because that way it would have left it on such a grand note. And then what we ended up with instead, a week later, was this story, Time Flight, and it's just naff. The production is just all over the place. The villain is quite bad, and then when we get a twist halfway through, the twist isn't all that great as well. There's been better twists in the history of the show. And yeah, it's just a bad story. So yeah, not a great start to this box set, but all is not lost. We've got another story in the box set. So what we got now? We've got Arc of Infinity, which comes straight after this. A year later, albeit. This was the first story of Doctor Who's 20th season. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the box art, and oh dear. I don't know what's worse, the box art for Time Flight or this, because, yeah. First off, take a look at Tegan. She looks like that she's taken a bit of crack cocaine, if you know what I mean. We have Nyssa here. Looks like she's had one too many. We've got the Fifth Doctor here, who is just, it looks like he's in some sort of other dimension by the way he's been photoshopped into this cover, because it looks like a negative image. I mean, I don't know if you can see it that well on camera, but in real life it just looks really odd. And not an actual criticism of the cover itself, but here's Omega, and he looks shit. So yeah, this is a criticism on the story itself. The cool villain, Omega, who was introduced 10 years before this story came out in the Three Doctors. He looked so awesome in that story. 10 years later, he comes back, he looks like this. And he looks shit. What on earth were they thinking? But anyway, I'm sure that it doesn't detract from the story itself. That's the side, and the bottom's purple. We've got the Black to Entertain logo yet again. This story was written by Johnny Byrne. Travelling with Nyssa in the TARDIS, the Doctor is attacked by a malign entity, a being of pure antimatter, seeking to cross dimensions. Although the invader is successfully repelled, the TARDIS is immediately recalled to Gallifrey, where the High Council of Time Lords sentenced the Doctor to be executed to prevent any further attempts at bonding. It seems there is a traitor on Gallifrey. What links the renegade and the disappearance of Tegan's cousin to Amsterdam? Two fates intertwined must battle for the future of the entire universe. Oh yeah, one thing to note. See that guy there? Yeah, that's Colin Baker. Yeah, he played the Sixth Doctor later on. You knew that anyway. Special features. Sorry, I'll just get this closer to you because for some reason the text is just absolutely microscopic for whatever reason. So yeah, Antimatter from Amsterdam, presented by Sophie Aldred. This new documentary explains the making of Arc of Infinity, featuring actors Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sarah Sutton. The Omega Factor. Writers and actors look at the character and motivation of the renegade Time Lord Omega, featuring co-creator Bob Baker, actors Stephen Thorne and Ian Collier. Deleted scenes taken from time-coded viewing copies of the studio recordings and early edits, under art lights, behind-the-scenes action studio recording sessions. Sorry, I don't even know if you can see any of this. It's very hard for me to read this, and I've got very good eyesight. This is just ridiculous. CGI effects as well. We have continuities, photo gallery, isolated music, which is always a great thing. 1983 Doctor Who Annual again, production subtitles, and a coming soon trailer. And yeah, it's quite funny. All this says this once on this. Inconsistency. Come on, to entertain and BBC, whoever made this. Digitally remastered picture and sound quality. And the transmission dates for this were between 3rd and 12th of January 1983, and it was transmitted on BBC One. Produced by our favourite producer, John Nathan Turner. I use that term sarcastically. Directed by Ron Jones. Cover by Dan Budden yet again. So it's the same guy who did the cover for Time Flight. What a surprise. I'm sorry, I hate dissing people, but seriously, what were they thinking? And this is 98 minutes approx, so yeah, another 4-parter. And that's the leaflet, and that's the disc. So, what do I think of Arc of Infinity? Well, as I said, cover art, not good at all. Omega looks shit. But as a story itself, I don't think it's that bad. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good either. I think it just falls somewhere in the middle, probably the lower middle. I think this is one of those stories which you can enjoy more under the influence of alcohol, and by that what I mean is you enjoy it more for all of the wrong reasons. There's a few things in this story which I don't really particularly enjoy that much. But first of all, let's talk about the positives. I think the main cast are great. I think that the first half of this story, where you just see the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa on their own, I think it's really good, and it would have been nice to see more of them on their own in the TV series. Nyssa is a character which is so underdeveloped in the TV show, but fear not, Big Finish have expanded on her character, which is a great thing, because I think Sarah Sutton does Nyssa a lot of justice. Tegan is good in this story, as always. Omega, yeah, I'll be honest, I think Omega is just crap in the story if you compare him to how it was in Three Doctors, so I don't know what happened there. So yeah, a huge potential wasted there, in my honest opinion. Colin Baker as Maxil gives in a great performance. I can see why John Nathan later cast him as a Sixth Doctor. And there's a few others in there. We had Michael Gough, who came back to play a Time Lord. He previously played the Celestial Toymaker in the First Doctor story of that same name. And he was going to appear again as a Celestial Toymaker in the cancelled season 23 story, The Nightmare Fair. But as we all know, that never saw the light of day due to the BBC being assholes. And yeah, I think everyone else is just sort of there, and it's sort of forgettable. And I think that the final part, which more or less sees the cast just running around in Amsterdam, yeah, I think is a little bit silly, if I'm completely honest with you there. I think it's a bit silly. So yeah, Arc of Infinity, it's better than Time Flight, but again, it's not really a story which I would revisit anytime soon. The only way that I would revisit this story along with Time Flight is if I'm doing a long marathon, which would require me to sit down and watch these stories, and that's not really a good thing, because I probably wouldn't be excited to watching these two particular stories. So there we have it. So overall, my thoughts on this box set, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. Through my experience, this was one of the last ones in the range that I actually got. I actually waited to when my DVD collection for Doctor Who was nearly completed, and yeah, the main reason I got this was purely for completionist reasons, because I am a completionist. Definitely not a box set which I would pick up straight away. Definitely not. And it's not one that I would highly recommend, so it is one of my lower recommendations, because Time Flight is a bad story, right? I'm just putting it out there. It is a very bad story. A lot of Doctor Who fans say it is bad, and yes, I'm saying it's bad, and that says something, because there's a few bad stories which some people like, which I actually find alright. Arc of Infinity, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. But Time Flight, yeah, I'd stay away from that one. So yeah, all around, it's not a box set which I would recommend that you pick up straight away. If you only want to complete your collection, then yeah, that's the only reason I'd say pick this up. Otherwise, yeah, I'd wait or just leave it totally. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Also click the bell for notifications for every time I upload a new video to YouTube. And before I go, I just want to say I hope you're all having a good day. See you next time. Cheerio.